Just fine. I had a great night rest. You're feeling refreshed this morning. Welcome to our show. It's the Morning Splash and it's on the Integrity Dial. How are you? Really though, how are you? How has been the last couple of days? Good things to share or not? Let's say, good things. I don't want to ask or not because, keep it to the good things. Even though I know that that's more like a fantasy. Anyway, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you join us today. The Morning Splash lasts from around now till 9 o'clock-ish. Before 9 o'clock-ish. And we start out with headlines from the newspapers, first of all, and then we take a break at 7:30 for sports. We come back at 8 and we get into discussion on a topic. Today we're going to be focusing on these fuel subsidy removal. Just a few days ago, it was announced that the federal government hopes to finally end fuel subsidy by June 2022. That means we have just about 8 months on the which to enjoy, if you call it that, subsidy. And the question for you this morning would be, are you ready now? Would you be ready in 8 months to possibly buy fuel at 1,000 naira? I say 1,000 naira because that's the price that's been projected or was projected by now defunct DPR. They say that could be the price that you and I buy fuel, especially if there is no alternative as at the time fuel subsidy is removed. We'll get into the details of that. 8 o'clock is the time, and I hope that you join us for that. My name is Charity Jerome. I've got Plato joining me this morning. Hi, Plato. Good morning.
Chacha.
How are you?
I'm quite the unusual guest.
I was just going to say that. We're not usually fortunate to have you on Thursday mornings. It's rare.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Looking forward to an amazing session of discussion. But first, let's tell you what the weather's like for today in Ibadan and all the other parts, and then we'll be back. Also, we're live streaming on Facebook, Splash FM 105.5. I hope that you join us on that platform as well.
Hello and thank you so much for joining us once again. Today is Thursday, the 28th of October 2021, and it is time to take you through what the weather has in store. To start with Ibadan, the capital city will be cloudy with a couple of thunderstorms, especially later in the day, with the temperature at 32 degrees Celsius high. Abeokuta today will be cloudy with a couple of thunderstorms later in the day, with the temperature at 32 degrees Celsius high. Lagos today will experience considerable cloudiness with the temperature at 31 degrees Celsius high. Still on today's weather forecast, Ado-Ekiti will experience considerable cloudiness with the temperature at 31 degrees Celsius high. Away from that, Oshogbo today will experience times of clouds and sun with the temperature at 32 degrees Celsius high. And to bring today's edition of the weather forecast to a close, Akure will be mostly cloudy with the temperature at 31 degrees Celsius high. And that will be all on today's weather forecast for major cities in southwestern Nigeria, as well to you by Splash 105.5 FM. Please do remember to put on appropriate clothing to suit the demand of the weather for today. I am Blessing Agbeton. Thank you for listening.
Splash FM 105.5.
Well, thank you so much for listening and staying with us here on Splash 105.5. That's an indication of what the weather should be like, all things being equal for today. So let's get started, shall we? And this morning, we're starting out with the Punch newspaper. Seems like a lot of the headlines from this morning are around the PDP and their convention. Big story on the front page of the Punch. PDP moves to save convention, pressures Secondus over suit. Quickly taking a bit of that story, the People's Democratic Party has yet to file a response to the appeal filed by its suspended chairman, Uche Secondus, before the Court of Appeal in Port Harcourt. At the last hearing on Tuesday, the PDP lawyers asked for time to respond to the appeal filed by Secondus but the court refused to grant their request, stating that the suit was time-bound in view of the National Convention of the party, which is scheduled to hold on Saturday and Sunday. The court subsequently gave the opposition party 24 hours to file its response. Speaking to The Punch on Wednesday, Secondus' lawyer, Mr. Tayo Oyetibo, said he had received no response from the PDP. The matter, he says, will come up as planned. He understands that the PDP has till 12 p.m. on Thursday to file a response. So, to the best of his knowledge, nothing has been filed and they have not been served. Recall that on the 23rd of August, some interested members of the party instituted a suit at the High Court of Rivers State with Secondus and the PDP as defendants. So that's just a bit of that story for you. Petrol subsidy may climb to 3 trillion naira in 1 year. This is according to a subsidiary of the NNPC, and that's the Petroleum Products Marketing Company. They say that the annual subsidy on premium motor spirit will rise to 3 trillion in Lagos. He said, and I quote, at $80 crude oil, 60 million liters daily consumption, and 411 naira to $1 forex, PMS under recovery per liter will be 138 liter. Daily PMS under recovery will be 8.3 billion naira. Annual PMS under recovery will escalate to 3 trillion naira. Punch says it had exclusively reported on October 12 that the sharp rise in global oil prices to record highs had pushed the subsidy cost being incurred by the federal government to 8.28 billion naira daily. The subsidy, which the NNPC prefers to call value shortfall or under recovery, the federal government had in March 2020 removed petrol subsidy after reducing the pump price of the product to 125 per liter from 145 following the crash in oil prices. The NNPC, which has been the sole importer of petrol in the country in recent years, has been bearing the subsidy cost since it resurfaced. I know this is my focus in the 8 o'clock hour plateau, but I'm going to ask you, have your views changed on the removal of subsidy and what the implications might be, considering how much more we're seeing these subsidy prices go up on a daily, monthly, and annual basis?
My views have not changed and they will not change. Now, I'm not being conservative here, but the fact remains that subsidy is just one of the, what you can call a social security that the people get. Now, this is a country where virtually everything is done by citizens. You provide your water, you drill your borehole, you install your borehole, you get your generator to give yourself lights, and virtually, in fact, you fix the road to your house. That's to tell you of how bad it is. And so subsidy remains the only one of the very few what I would call cushioning effect. Now, as much as we want to say, oh, the cost of subsidy is rising, are we also looking at the cost of corruption? Which goes directly into the purses of, the ruling elite. So subsidy that comes, which again, too, we also know that there are some leeches around who also benefit from these, what I'll call the subsidy lacuna, because government is supposed to plug all loopholes. And if they do that, I'm sure that we may not be able to have such amount. But the truth also is that we cannot deny the fact. Now, it is neither you nor me that made us or made it impossible for us to refine oil in Nigeria.
Okay.
It is neither Iyasikira nor Iyabola, at OJ or Bodija market that made it impossible to refine oil in Nigeria. So making Iyasikira or Iyabola or Daddy Shegun, bear the burden of not being able to refine oil in Nigeria will not be appropriate. Now, as much as possible, we may want to go capitalistic and say, oh, no, what are we incurring? Or we can divest that into infrastructure. Wonderful argument. But then, what of the money that Buhari is using, for feeding in Aso Rock? What of the money that Sheyi Makinde is using for feeding at Agodi? What of the money that... So, by the time you begin to look at all this, and then, of course, what you call constituency project. So, the monies that go into their own private purses can also be used to shore up this. So
Okay.
it is not the ordinary man the ordinary man on the street that should be made to bear the burden. Yes, government needs to plug those leakages where some persons are now feeding fat on this under recovery.
Program.
Let me use their term. But then it does not mean that we should, remove all these forms of social security. Now, it's important to say this, that there is no country, particularly an impoverished country, that can survive without providing such social security as this.
Okay.
It's going to be very terrible.
All right. I mean, interesting positions you have there. I just couldn't help but laugh at one of the statements you made. But I'd like to hear what you have to say if you're listening to us right now. Plateau is insisting this is the only form of social security that as Nigerians we can say we're benefiting from our government. And government is saying by June of next year, all of this would have to stop because it's costing too much to maintain.
Chacha, let me even say this. Would it not also be boggling that you'll be buying gas, per kg at maybe 600 to 700 naira per kg, and then if we remove subsidy, because again, as the international price of crude oil rises, per barrel, it means that since we are not refining, we are importing, then we would also be buying at a very high price. So the implication is you are buying gas at maybe 600 to 700 naira per kg, and then you are buying fuel at not less than with the current cost, because with the old landing costs and everything, we're buying at about 300 naira per liter. So
should that be removed? Yeah.
So if you remove subsidy, so apparently you can imagine what that would be.
There's even a threat that it might be as high as 1,000 naira. I'll break it all down for you in the 8 o'clock. The price range they were advising the federal government to sell petrol for, should petrol subsidy be removed. So you were just within a reasonable estimate there. But we'll look at this in depth when it comes to the 8 o'clock hour this morning. I mean, Plateau mentioned corruption earlier, and perhaps that's what this story just evokes in my mind. Senate panel rejects Buhari's $700 million loan request for water project. Now, the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt has turned down President Muhammadu Buhari's loan request for sustainable urban and rural water supply, sanitation and hygiene under the Ministry of Water Resources. This came 24 hours after the Ministry of Health appeared before the panel to seek approval for $200 million for procurement of mosquito nets and malaria medicines. The lawmakers who took turns to fault the request asked the ministry to furnish the panel with loans collected so far and projects they were tied to. The committee chair, Clifford Odia, recalled that 3 different loans had been approved for various water projects. He said $450 million for Ministry of Water project being financed by the African Development Bank, another $6 million loan under Integrated Program for Development financed by the ADB, and the Gurara project. He's speaking now. You need to tell us what you're doing with this $700 million for water projects. The panel therefore resolved to summon the minister to offer explanation on previous loans and how they were deployed. I mean, this story is quite an interesting one. And the committee said it would champion an upward review of inmate feeding costs to 750 naira. Now, we talk about loans and loan recovery all the time, but I'm going to take your thoughts on this. We have to pause on a commercial. I know this is going to kind of pour water on the heat, but let's take this commercial break. Plus, when we come back, we'll pick it up exactly from this. Don't go away.
I bet you think this is going to be one of those ads where someone says, introducing, to sell some new improved product to you.
But we feel there are more important things in life, like driving carefully on rainy days to avoid splashing water on pedestrians.
Or stopping to help someone change a flat tire.
Because what really matters is being the change.
Lipton Yellow Label Tea. Awaken to what really matters.
Ọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ ọmọbìnrin yẹn ń lo nǹkan kan.
ṣó o tún ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ abz làṣírí ibẹ̀ ọṣẹ ìfọyín close-up kún fún antibacterial zinc abz bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ń fúnni ní ààbò tó péye ìlọ́po mẹ́ta àti pé a tún fún eyín ẹ̀ ní ìtura ìlọ́po mẹ́ta ó yàtọ̀ sọ́ṣẹ ìfọyín ṣá.
gbogbo èèyàn ló máa gbélé yìí o.
láìdé ọṣẹ ìfọyín close-up ti tún kún fún antibacterial zinc pẹ̀lú ààbò ìlọ́po mẹ́ta àti ìtura tó péye ìlọ́po mẹ́ta.
Nice strike!
Guy, imagine say Messi, Ronaldo with Mbappe dey your house. Imagine the kind football experience where you go enjoy. Go imagine say you cross leg on top chair, dey flex for your house because na our home, our football with La Liga, Serie A and Premier League.
No dey imagine things so. Go get your own GoTV decoder plus 1 month of mass subscription for only 9,500 naira. I'll make you enjoy all the Obonge live matches wey full ground this season. GoTV, love it.
kíní kan wà tí gbogbo obìnrin máa ń ní tí wọ́n bá ti di abiyamọ tí ọmọ tí ẹbí rẹ̀ bá nírora torí bá ń fọ́ wọn ṣé bí jáfara léwu abiyamọ kì í fi ìgbà ìrora falẹ̀ pẹ̀lú M&B paracetamol tó yára pa tí kì í gbalọ̀ kábọ̀ oníkóró fún àgbàlagbà àti olómi tó ládùn ọ̀pọ̀ òyìnbó fún àwọn ọmọdé yóò lé ẹ̀fọ́rí àti ara ríro jìnnà sí ẹbí rẹ̀ M&B kàti ń perégedé ó lé ní 70 ọdún òun ni àwọn obìnrin tó rí núròde fi ọkàn tán fún ẹ̀fọ́rí àti ìrora ní ìwé alọ́ rámirámi làárí pupa ìyẹn M&B paracetamol tí ìrora kò bá lọ lẹ́yìn ọjọ́ méjì rí dókítà rẹ̀ M&B paracetamol.
For those wondering if the new Schweppes Zobo tastes as good as they say it does, experience tells us. Try it. Find out for yourself. Introducing new Schweppes Zobo, made with over 200 years of experience.
We've had many battles, we have won some wars, but in all our struggles, we have lost loved ones. It may be cloudy outside, but not for very long. We will surely see the sun, 'cause we know no matter the weather, no matter the tide, we go there together. Your side, no yawa, no problem. Go feet stand to fight us. We go stand together. We go beat them down.
Special season. Hey, some kind people for we country now, they face waiting, then they call sweet palava. What? Like a fusa. If itself, pray we don't they open and close a new fridge every 5 minutes. My people, waiting they cause some, Now the Glow Joy Unlimited Extravaganza. What? Yeah, if you self want experience your own sweet palava, just dial *611# and recharge up to 500 naira every week to enter this Glow Joy Unlimited Extravaganza. Over 500,000 gifts will include plenty brand new cars, generators, TVs, fridges, and plenty other sweet prizes. Full grand remain. Start to recharge now, make you fit win. Terms and conditions they shall.
Glow Joy Unlimited.
Center Fresh. I feel the freshness. I got the confidence. With the liquid fuel chewing gum, not Center Fresh. I'm feeling good. I feel so good. I feel so fresh. I feel so fresh. I got confidence. Center Fresh. The correct chewing gum, not Center Fresh. No darling with Center Fresh. Center Fresh chewing gum. Trust the freshness.
Price na carry go. E get tamper proof and e dey for different sizes. So as e dey sweet your belly, e dey sweet your pocket. Oya, jolly inside better. Go buy Devon King's oil for shop wey near you.
Hey ladies, don't you just hate it when people with beautiful, even-toned skin refuse to tell you their secrets? They tell you all they do is drink water and mind their business. Those that finally tell you, give you a 50-step routine. I'm not saying those things don't work, but haba. Thankfully, Truthfully, I found the secret to maintaining glowing, even-toned skin. Lux Even Complexion combines active face ingredients with carrot oil and exfoliating beads to give your skin that beautiful glow. Lux Even Complexion for glowing, fragrant skin. Now available in stores near you.
Every careless 5K, where is supposed go?
Echo Bank straight.
Every urgent 5K encore.
Echo Bank straight.
Naira every week for the next 4 months. The grand prize now 1 million naira for 4 people.
Enter with your 5K, oh. Echo Bank straight.
Echo Bank Super Rewards campaign. Now from October to January 2022. Ask your brother, sister, friend, neighbor to join and you go get something. Echo Bank, the Pan-African Bank.
This promotion has been approved by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission.
Hot, tender, fresh, delicious.
Oh, God, what's up with you? You've been so animated
Man, you won't understand. I'm just so excited. KFC keeps innovating the 5-in-1 meal combo. I'm spoiled for choice. Now I can choose between French fries or Yummy-licious.
Wow. Let's head to the nearest KFC for that 5-in-1 combo.
Enjoy a world of options with the 5-in-1 meal from KFC. Get the original Nigeria Yummy-licious in a mouth-watering combo with other amazing meals. Available at all KFC outlets nationwide. You can also order on Jumia Food. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Building on the successful completion of our first session with attendance testimony of our professional handling of the classes, we invite interested applicants to enroll for the next stream at the Splash FM Media Academy, an arm of the West Midlands Communications Limited. Our mandate to restore professional excellence in the broadcast industry is still on course, and that's why we invite you to hurry up and enroll now for full-time and part-time intensive practical lectures in presentation, journalism, programs and content development, basic production and digital media, presentation in Yoruba, and so on, leading to the award of Certificate of Proficiency in Broadcast Journalism. Course duration is 6 weeks of intensive practical classes plus interactive practical mentorship sessions with veterans and industrial placement. To register, visit the Splash FM Media Academy beside White House, Felele, Ibadan. For inquiries, call 070-543-93332 or 080-569-98676. On Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we are at Splash FM Academy.
La 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 la.
Ìyá ọlọ́gbọ́n. Èwo lẹ̀ ń ṣe?
Mo ń ṣe oúnjẹ òwúrọ̀ pẹ̀lú mílìkì ìdàgbàsókè PIC 456.
Oúnjẹ òwúrọ̀ pẹ̀lú mílìkì ìdàgbàsókè PIC 456 kẹ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ó ní àlékún DHA, èyí tó ń ṣe àtìlẹ́yìn ìdàgbàsókè ọpọlọ tó jí pépé. Bákan náà ló tún ní káṣíọ̀mù, fítámìn D àti onígá ńlá protein láti mú àwọn ọmọ rẹ dàgbà kí wọ́n sì lágbára.
Mo fẹ́ràn ẹ̀. Màá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní fi mílìkì ìdàgbàsókè PIC 456 tó ní àlékún DHA, èyí tó ń ṣàtìlẹ́yìn ìdàgbàsókè ọpọlọ tó jí pépé fi kún àwọn èròjà ìṣaralóore fún àwọn ọmọ mi.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Dàgbà kó lágbára kó sì jáfáfá pẹ̀lú mílíkì ìdàgbàsókè PIC 456 lójoojúmọ́.
Well, many thanks to you for staying with us here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Just before we went on that commercial break, we were talking about a headline that reads, Senate panel rejects Buhari's $700 million loan to Didi Wilson-Jackson. She could not offer convincing explanation on previous loans, but she told the committee that this program would last for 5 years and that $640 million was needed for the project, while $60 million was for capacity building. What kind of capacity building requires 60 million? I mean, this is dollars. We're not even talking naira here. So what are your general comments on this story? And then, you could relate it to the other parts.
Well, for me, you see, if you are digging a well, it may not be a problem. If you are drilling a bowl, it's a bigger problem. But what if you are trying to get to the source of the water of life? Then you can imagine a bigger problem that you have to face. And so this explains why even the PS could not explain, and the amount that they're doing. Because if you are actually trying to get to the source of water of life, you need enough capacity. You need to build capacity and even build muscles. I've always supported, I'm not one who is against the whole idea of taking loans, but largely for infrastructures. But for issue of water projects, we have what I would call alternatives to the loans. There are companies in all these areas. So why not do, when we are doing private participation already in road construction, why are we finding it difficult? Why can't you give tax holidays to some of these companies and ask them as a form of CSR to do these things?
Are you worried about the monies and the amounts that are being quoted here? I mean, 450 in one instance, 200 in another instance, and Nigerians do not have water.
My worry in this instance is that there is no clear-cut analysis is what is going to this. Don't just say you want to take $200 million for a particular project and we don't.
Well, they gave a breakdown. They said 640 million was going to, what was it again? And for the project, and then $60 million for capacity building.
Capacity building? What capacity? Are you building the hunchback of camels? You see, that's a clear thing I talked about. You see, if you understand how government circles work, they just give what I would call an overhead nomenclature and then put a price tag to it. So it's important. And part of that story takes the story of the prisons. And in my head, I kept wondering, why have we refused to think? I remember during the heat of the COVID, I said something here. And I said that, why can't we start thinking with the idea of non-holding sentences? Why do we need to keep people in prison, particularly people who have committed misdemeanors, small offenses? Now, from the statistics I got from the World Prison Brief, it says that there are over 68,872 people, inmates in Nigerian prisons. Now, this is the shocking part of it. Of this number, 73.5% of them are pretrial inmates. Go and keep him in, remand and the like. 72.3. And we are saying we are spending now, who can you give 450 naira in this present day Nigeria to spend on feeding for a day? Even 1,000 naira self, by the time you spend 1,000 naira, by noon, the 1,000 naira is already gone. So we have a lot of things we can do. Now, why do we keep increasing the number of, pretrial inmates? And that tells you that we have about 50,000 pretrial inmates that burden can be off our prison facilities, our correctional facilities, without costing us much.
We don't seem to be thinking about the alternatives. It can't be that easy now. It can't be that easy for you to say, don't keep pretrial inmates in the prisons, take them somewhere else. What are the specifics of how that's going to work?
If it's a small offense, for instance, we have seen some cases, some of these pretrial inmates, they've not even been brought to court. Sorry, they have been brought to court maybe once, and then they just forget about them. And then, now, if we can find a way, what are our chief justices of the different states doing?
Big question there. Very, very big question.
And I think NBA also needs to come in here too.
Talking about the prisons just really dampens me, because that's, when they say reformational center, our own is like hell. There's nothing reformational about it.
We only call it correctional facilities. They are not correctional.
They were proposing to increase it from 450 to 750. And even that in itself just sounds ridiculous. But let's quickly run through some of your headlines on this day newspaper before we open up the phone lines this morning. COVID-19, Sanwo-Olu launches mass vaccination program in Lagos. E-Naira, CBN warns against fraudsters, refutes alleged 50 billion naira disbursement. FBN shares Hassan Odukale. Interesting. Nigeria's envoy to UK faults Economist magazine's report. Alleged 22 billion naira scam. Court bars bank from releasing funds to couple. Okonjo-Iweala harps on investment in local production. Federal government set to scale up contribution from livestock GDP. Senate, INEC, free to transmit Anambra governorship election results electronically. That all those headlines you'll find on the This Day newspaper. And I want to go quickly to the Guardian newspaper. There's one story that caught my attention. I'm hoping we can talk on that before I open the phone lines. Federal government to review licenses of discos, jankos over poor performance. I wonder what your power situation has been like in recent months. According to this report on The Guardian, there are indications that the federal government may, in the coming weeks, take punitive measures over the operating licenses of some power distribution companies and generation companies. The Guardian gathered this may not be unconnected with poor performance by some critical stakeholders in the value chain. While President Muhammad Buhari had recently terminated the appointment of the minister in charge of power, appointing Abubakar Aliyu to act as the new minister, Nigeria's power sector has failed to perform years after privatization, as level of power supply to homes and industries stagnates at about 4,000 megawatts. There's also this story about Anambra. I'm trying to lump it all together so we can move to the phone lines. Headline reads, Anambra decides to reconsider 7-day sit-at-home directive. Ohaneze begs IPOB. Tasks Umahi on political solution for Kanu's freedom. Disrupting poll will cause Igbo huge setback. Now, disturbed by the negative implications of the 7-day sit-at-home directive of the IPOB for the Anambra governorship election, Ohaneze Ndigbo has begged the separatist group to reconsider the stand, noting that Anambra is the economic live wire of the Southeast. Ohaneze Ndigbo said any harm to the state will create untold disastrous chain reactions and catastrophe for the Igbo. I saw a report yesterday, I think it was Asari Dokubo. Apparently now he's associated with IPOB as well. He has his own alternative IPOB group, and they are saying that contrary to what the real IPOB is saying, elections in Anambra must hold. So you have all this cacophony of voices, and you're wondering, like, what is happening? How can non-state actors have this much audacity? I think that's what beats me in all of this. No, non-state actors that have no power whatsoever under the Constitution making pronouncement, and the people are, eagerly waiting, afraid, well, most likely going to obey that.
It didn't start now. Don't forget that non-state actors in Nigeria have always had a very strong sway. In spite of their, what I'll call noble intentions. Nadeko was a non-state actor and played a major role. But what we saw then was as the state was able to, suppress these non-state actors, regardless of how noble their intentions were.
Yeah.
And then we got to a point where the state started negotiating with non-state actors like the Niger Delta militants. And not only that, we did not only negotiate with them, we also gave them, amnesty. Now, apparently, it became a settlement point. And then we saw Boko Haram coming into the fray. But because they didn't have the live wire of the state in its hand, and in spite of fomenting trouble, the state also thought about negotiating with them. Then we talk about banditry. And then now IPOB. You see, a state that has always shown itself to be weak would always have situations like this, and that's what we are having with Nigerian state. And look at all 5 states. You see, when non-state actors begin to begin to become major players in determining how the strength of the state goes, then there's a problem. Okay. Now, coming to the power sector, it's quite unfortunate. You see, one of the biggest fraud that was committed against Nigerians was this power sector privatization, and we've seen it. We've seen how AMCON is now taking over one of the major stakeholders in one of the power holding companies, and we will keep seeing.
Because the government will be bad enough.
So I promise to do justice to that when I start.